Welcome back to Dr. BeeWell. On today's show of DBW, we have an extra special guest for everybody. This person is one of the people who I've come across recently that I have the utmost respect for. She is an absolute badass, inspiring women, across the globe. My guest today is an 8-year veteran of the Air Force, being a SERE specialist. That's survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Giddy up. She is a 3-time contestant on Naked and Afraid. She did the regular Naked and Afraid series. She did the solo series, and she did the Last One Standing series, which will is coming out on May 7th. So definitely check that out. It's my guest today, Cheeny Plante.
Hey, Steven.
What's going on?
Life's good. I just finished the solo series. The last episode aired last night, and it's out for the public now, and the reviews have just been amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hi. So how do you pay much attention to the reviews?
I try not to read the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always just been a hard rule of mine, but people have reached out with just personal messages.
Yeah.
And just nothing but nice words. Just the kindness is just overwhelming. And you don't really realize the impact that you have on people sometimes. And it's really cool.
That is really cool because like I said, this is it's the first time that we've met. We've spoken a couple of times on the phone and stuff, but I just watched that series. I finished watched the finale, and like when I met you today, the hair on my arm stood up. That's the type of inspiration, and like you inspire me so much. Your perception and your humor and the way that you went about it was so cool and just was so enlightening to me. Where I was like, oh man, this is I can't wait to interview this person. I can't wait to to get into it with her. So I just I'm got a huge fan in me for sure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to be here to tell my story.
Yeah, hell yeah.
There's a lot of backstory to, how I became who I am today. There's a lot there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really cool. I think without further ado, I think that we should get right into it. So
sure.
You tell me wherever you want to start. Tell me a young Cheeny Plante.
A young Cheeny Plante. So I'm a Maine native, born and raised here, in New England, and I think New Englanders are some of the hardest people in the country. You go through a Maine winter, and that builds a lot of character. And I mean, for me, growing up, life was so different. I mean, I'm 33. I'm not saying I'm old, but when I was younger, life was different. Electronics weren't a thing. You had a bike, you had books, you had a fishing pole, and your parents made you go outside, and
rang the dinner bell when it was time to come home.
Yeah, and I don't know, I was always outside. And when you're in nature, there's a lot that you pick up on, a lot that you notice. And, a lot of books that I read growing up because I didn't have a phone or a computer or something to be glued to all day. And so I just kind of took these examples of the people that I read about. And I just had so much admiration for them. I was like, how can I be like this? How can I live my life in this way? And also, like, I was kind of a dork growing up. I wouldn't say a dork. I was a tomboy. So, like when you're different, you get picked on. It's just like when you have a pen full of chickens, the weird one always gets attacked. And, I've forgiven a lot of the people that were just mean to me growing up. But I think like that helps you grow as a person as well.
Forgiveness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people, as you become an adult, you realize that those people had some experience that made them that way or made them think their way or made them have their perception. And of course, some things I think are unexcusable and intolerable.
Oh, for sure.
But like it's, any person who's, wronged me in my life, when I get upset about it or, when I actually think it through, I'm a deep thinker. I always come back to, and they were just, seeing the world how they saw it and, moving forward that way. And
yeah. You have to, it's hard to forgive, but at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do, You
don't do it for them either.
Yeah.
You do it for you.
You do it for you. And you should do everything for yourself. You should always put yourself first all the time. Still take care of other people, but at the end of the day, like, you have to do what's best for you because nobody else is going to do that.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's why Cheeny Plante is my new mentor, because I that's one thing I've been working at my entire life. I always felt I was one of five, I was fourth in line, so I found love by being there for other people, and I'm whatever you want to call it, like emotionally intelligent, whatever, I just empathetic, like sensitive. I understand people, and I can conversate with them, and I can really, get to know them, and that everything spitballed into one makes it that I want to help everybody I can. And sometimes, for a while to my own detriment sometimes. And I learned, that that's the only way that I can truly be the best version of me is by taking care of myself first. Because when I show up for me, I can show up for everyone else, like, 10x.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a phenomenon that's like, you don't expect it, right? Like you don't think that would happen, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh wow, just keep being taught a little lesson here, of course.
Yep, and it's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growth.
Always.
Cool.
Always growing.
Yeah.
Never want to stop.
Never want to stop. Cool. Okay, so now, like, it's funny because like being picked on, right? That sucks, and like bullying's a real thing, and it's probably even worse now with all the technology and all this. Although I have heard, like, from my nieces and nephews, and my sister who's a teacher sometimes, they do say sometimes that like the kids like protect each other now, and which
is so good to hear.
It is so good to hear, and so I hope that is the case, but I know that the world is the world, and people have been bullying for millennia, and so like, and it's funny because it's like I was a captain of my football team. If you ask people from my high school, they would say, yeah, Steve Ivo, he's a popular guy. He was a popular guy. Every friend in the world, I knew everybody. But like I was bullied. I very much so got bullied. Some of them was by my own friends, and I didn't know how to deal with it. But just when you are different, which I very much so think that I am, like you said, just unique. Not even just whatever. And we're all different. But I was that same way, and so it's funny that that people will that we have to have come from our own experiences like that. So what did you so like when did you start to get into you were a tomboy, you were fishing and stuff like that? Did you start to like get into survival stuff? Like what made you think, like what made you want to say I want to go to the Air Force and become a SERE specialist? Like that's pretty specific, right?
It is specific, and it was never always that. Like the Air Force was actually the last branch that I wanted to join.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Air Force and the Navy, I guess, were like the last two because they don't have the glory that the Marine Corps has.
Right.
Or the Army, like that grunt, that rough and tumbled, like combat. That's what you see in the movies, and they romanticize it. Yeah. And so I will never forget my cousin, Zach, when we were about 8 years old, we watched a documentary series on the Discovery Channel, actually, about the Marine Corps boot camp. And, when you're 8, you think everything's cool. And that we both were like, we're going to be Marines. That was our thing. And then when it came time to join the military, I joined early. When I was 16, I got my parents' permission. I knew I always just wanted to be in the military.
I was wondering how you pulled it off because I didn't actually know your age. And I kept thinking, I was like, this, I'm 32. And I was like, this person like looks like, looks like 24. Like, definitely looks younger than me for sure. Yeah. So like when you finally revealed your age to me that you were 33, I was like, well, 8 years in this and then this, where did you get all this? Where'd you get all this time? And that's how it was, is that you joined early.
I joined early. Yeah. I still had to wait, but at least I locked in a spot. But my dad would not sign the paper if he's like, you are absolutely not going into the Marine Corps. You'll only sign it if you join the Air Force or the Navy. And I was like, I don't want to join. I was like, that's the weak branch. But I caved, and I actually got a job as a tactical aircraft maintenance. And I thought about that, and I was like, everybody that I've ever met that was in the Air Force was a fighter jet mechanic or some sort of aircraft mechanic. I was like, I don't want to be just another aircraft mechanic. So I asked my recruiter, I was like, is there anything else that I can do that's in the range of my ASVAB scores? Like, I want to do something cool. He's like, well, you could be a SERE specialist. And then he explained that to me. And I was like, that sounds like a really cool job. And I was already outdoorsy because, you're a Maine kid back in the day before electronics. You went, fishing and hunting and all that good stuff. And my cousin and I, we'd build stick forts and stuff like that. But I wasn't out there, practicing bow drill fires and and all of that. I was just outside a lot. And so I thought, what better job than to be outside and to be an instructor and to teach, to give back that way. And plus they lure you in with like, oh, you can go to jump school and dive school and you can do all these cool things, which I only went to jump school, which was it was cool. Like it's a military tradition. So I'm pretty honored to say that I got a chance to do that. But so I begrudgingly signed up for the Air Force and I got SERE, which at the time I didn't realize was one of the hardest jobs to actually get. At the end of the day, like say, the beginning of the year, let's say 2,000 people enlist to be SERE and they graduate 2 classes a year, one in the summer, one in the winter, because it's a 6-month tech school. And it's very difficult. The attrition rate is incredibly high. And like, for example, my class, 0902, we started with 58 people and we graduated 22. So going back, say, you graduate, or let's say just for easy math, 2,200 people sign up that year for SERE, and then only 22 people that year end up making it. That's a 1% success rate, I think. I don't know my math. I'm not. I went to public school. I don't know if my math.
No, that sounds right. But you're saying though that's so. Wait, I thought 22. Is it 48? 22 out of 48 made it, or is it 22 out of
58 for that 6-month class, and then the class before me, I don't remember the number, but it's usually the classes start with 40 to 50 people back in the day. Now I don't know what they start with now, but
what was this 20,000 number coming from? That gets whittled down to 22.
The general public that joined the military.
Okay.
So like when I signed up, I picked SERE, and I'm one of, let's just say, 2,200 people that year that signed up in the Air Force for SERE. And a year later, once you finish all your training and you graduate the school, you're about at a 1%.
So people who sign up for SERE, only 1% of them actually become a SERE specialist?
Roughly.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many people that year signed up for it and how many graduated. But we've had years where nobody graduated. 2 people graduated, 4 people graduated, and the leadership was pissed.
Wow. And your class was 22 people?
22 people graduated out of, I want to say it was 58.
How many women?
Just me.
That's a giddy up.
I think, when I was in, I was the 14th one, and there's been a couple more after me. There's been 2, to my knowledge, maybe 3. Definitely 2. I know them for sure. So they're just, and that's since the 70s.
This is incredible. Like because you said this to me on the phone, and then you said it in the show as well that not many women have become the SERE specialist. And I literally was looking online, like there's I couldn't find like too much data about that, like between the gender or anything like that, because I didn't know
I don't know if there's really they break it down. Like I just heard that through people that have been like the chiefs and stuff that had been in SERE for 20
Yeah,
years.
they know
the numbers. Yeah
100%. I what you're saying is 100% correct. I just say it wasn't easy for me to or it wasn't able for me to find it. So I was thinking like, okay, like this number might Cheeny, I think she's like one of like one of 500, one of 1,000. That's what my brain. But no, we're talking like one of 20.
Yeah.
Oh, badass.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
It's the biggest problem for women going into SERE is just, it's the physical side of it, because you do have to carry a rucksack and it's very heavy, and then tons of pull-ups. Like minimum, you have to be able to do 10.
Yep.
And you would do sets of 10 throughout the day.
Yep.
And it was very physically hard. And actually, like, you go through this selection course in Texas. So you graduate basic training, you stay in Texas, and you go to this 2-week selection course just to make sure that you're what they're looking for before they send you to the tech school. Otherwise, it would be just wasting money left and right. Because a lot of people wash out of the selection course. And I actually washed out the first time because it's hard. Like, the physical standards are tough. I was 18. I weighed 120 pounds. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to put on muscle.
Right.
And I go there and, like, there's these football player size men that are trying out for SERE. And, like, they had the physical for sure. And then I had to work on that. So I got washed back, had to repeat it. And then I went up to the tech school and graduated.
So let's talk about the training a little bit more though.
Let's talk about it. So
take me on the journey.
Okay, it's a long process, and this is just from what I went through. I went through when I was 19, so we're talking 12, 13 years ago. So a lot's changed. Like standards have changed and all this stuff. So I go through basic training in the summertime, graduate around the end of August. go to selection in September, wash back, go through again. And by the time I'm done, it's around Halloween. So, and then I go up to Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, which is where we have the class. It's where our tech school is. That's like the SERE Mecca. That's where all the SERE guys are. And there's a class that starts every January and graduates in June, and then starts every July and graduates in December. So it's about 5.5 month long tech school.
Okay.
Where you are trained how to survive in every biome on the planet. So you take it everything from an Arctic environment, temperate, tropical, desert, open ocean, coastal. We cover it all. And every environment, there's certain principles that you follow to meet your needs. So you've got your mental, physical, and emotional needs. You've got personal protection, which is shelter, firecraft, clothing, and equipment. Sustenance, which is food and water. Then you've got navigation. And then you've got signaling and recovery. So nobody wants to be out there forever, right?
Right.
How do I get the helicopter here to come and pick me up? So that's what you learn in 5.5 months. And on top of that, you also learn how to be an instructor. So there's 2 instructor phases that are about a week long each. And it's go, 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 go from the time day 1 class starts till you graduate. You get, I worked so many holidays. I was in the field all the time. Like, there's time off. It's built into it, but not a lot of time off. And I started in January. So I was what we call a winter class. You start in the winter, which everybody argues is the hardest class. And it is, because you're dealing with the cold and the snow pretty much the entire time, because you're in the northern Washington state in the mountains for all of this. And it snows feet upon feet and it's freezing cold. But you still have to meet your objectives. Like, the cutoff for training to get canceled was like -20. I remember looking at the scale and like everything's listed on all the different phases, when do you cancel training and stuff like that. And I remember looking at the temperature and I was like, are they serious? It has to get that cold? And I'm talking -20, -30 degrees. That's when they call it. I'm like, oh my God. I don't think it ever got that cold, but it didn't matter. You trained. I don't care if it's Christmas, your birthday, what the temperature is. And I had training where it was like, it rained every day and it was 34 degrees. So nothing froze, but you were just cold enough. Didn't matter. You had to make it work. And so I did that 5.5 months, ended up graduating with 22 people.
Did you love it?
Yeah. When I was 19, like, you're dumb when you're 19.
Yeah.
You think it's cool. Like, if I went through it now, I'd be like, damn, like, we have to do this. But back then, like, hell yeah, I can't wait to do this.
Yep.
And I mean, yeah, I loved it. There were times where I was just like, oh my God, this is so hard. But I never, ever once thought of quitting.
Yeah. Did the team like warm up to you pretty quick? Like, how was that experience? Because I know if I was in that experience and there was 18-year-old, 120-pound, 20-pound chick doing this, I'd be like, oh, like, giddy up. Like, this is the warrior. This is the heart. Like, let's go. Nobody
ever gave me a hard time. I can't think of a single person.
That's amazing.
Because, I mean, everybody, you judge a book by its cover, but when that person is keeping up with you or beating you, you're like, damn, you got some respect for them.
Yeah.
And they used to call me like Mighty Mouse. So they're like, you're like an ant. You're so small, but you're so strong. And I'm like, I don't know. I just go. And then when I'm tired, I stop.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always had, what's the word I'm looking for? Not really like efficiency, but endurance. I'm not the strongest person. I'm not the fastest person, but I'm level. I can keep it going.
Yeah. I'm physically and emotionally, I would say.
Yeah. Your wits, man, it's 90%. It's up in your head.
Yeah.
The body follows the mind.
The body follows the mind.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks that you've used to connect those two things when you have been struggling based on your training?
I just keep telling myself like, this is it'll be over soon.
It'll be over soon.
Yeah, and how you handle this moment is going to dictate what happens in the next moment.
Okay.
Because everything builds off.
Right. So handle this moment calm and collectively. Yeah. Do you ever did you get taught breath work or anything like that? Like,
no, I actually didn't know anything about breath work until like the last year.
Wow.
Yeah, and even then, I still don't do breath work. I don't meditate, and I keep telling myself like I should do these things and journal and all this stuff. And I don't say that I neglect like mental and spiritual health. I just go about it in a different way. Yeah,
I think what you're doing, like you're telling me over here that you don't do breath work, and I'm thinking like, I know that like when Cheeny's like, fishing or when she's doing her stuff or like when she's just out in the, out in nature, like you're so in tune with yourself, you're probably just doing it naturally.
I probably am.
Yeah.
For me, like there's certain things that are meditative.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's different forms of meditation. Like I read this book called Driven. It's about people that are like type A, very go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And somebody told me to read it, which I'm glad they did. And he talked about how people like me, we can't just sit there and meditate. So, and he had his own like type of meditation for people. He calls it shooter's meditation.
Shooters?
Shooters, yeah.
Cool.
So like you pick two things, one close up, one far away. And it's been a while since I've read the book, but I think when you inhale, you look at the thing close up, and when you exhale, you look at the thing far away. And you just keep going back and forth instead of just closing your eyes and trying to do it, because my mind wanders. I think about what I should be doing.
Yep.
I'll do 4 rounds of box breathing, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
I have to breathe anyway. I don't know why I don't do breath work, but I'm just like, I just don't do it. For me, it stresses me out. And that's the exact opposite of what it should be doing. So I'm like, why would I? I'm just going to do what makes me feel calm and collected. And I'm just going to keep doing that because it's working for me.
Yeah, I really love that, because like I love breath work. I think that the connection, like I'm trying to, that's how in my opinion, the body and the brain speak to one another, is like, you can't, and like you're so in tune with yourself and being who you are as a human being that I'm not on that level yet, and I'm working to get to that level 100%. And I think that's like why I like breath work, is because it allows me to, and it took me a long time to, like, my mind I'm a go person too. Just go, giddy up, let's go,
Yeah,
and
get it done.
Let's get it done, baby. Let's go. Like, let's not mess around. Let's go until it's done. And, just being able to like learn how to like, slow my mind a little bit was helpful for me. And then like, I thought forever, like, oh, this is the be all end all. This is it for everybody, but it's not.
It's not for everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's not a silver bullet for anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely not. It's what works for some people might not work for others. And like, that's what this show is about, is just trying to put as much stuff out there as possible that can work for people, and so that people can, if they're interested in this, they can try this, but it may or may not work for them.
Oh yeah, humans are so complex, and it always just irks me when I see people saying like, no, this is the way you have to do it. It's like, no, this is the way that maybe you have to do it, but not for everybody.
Right.
I'm not meant for a 4-year college. I know that. I can't be a vegetarian. I know that. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool that you tried it, though. It's cool that, learning who you are, that's like how you have to learn, right? You have to have experience, right? And that's how you figure out who you are. You probably learned that you were this go person because you're 16, signing up for the military and want to do all this stuff. And then you were go in the military, and you're training, and you've continued that. And that's as we become adults and we learn, ourselves and our personalities and stuff, we learn how to be, like you said, the most efficient and having, endurance and, in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always tried everything. I'm not even like, oh, that's stupid. I at least try it. And then I make a decision.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, so about your diet, so we'll get into the diet a little bit later, but I wanted to start this. So just with the training. So then you become, you did all the schools. So like recently we had, I think Dr. BeeWell is becoming, an Air Force guy. Now, do you love the Air Force now?
Oh yeah, I've always loved the Air Force. I'd say that probably it helped me really become who I am today, because like the Air Force, and some people are going to make fun of me for bringing up the Air Force core values, but one of them is, I know them all by heart. So integrity first, service before self. Well, maybe I don't know them all. Integrity first, service before self. I don't remember the third one, but anyway, those are like the two that really stuck with me, especially integrity first, doing the right thing when nobody's watching.
Yep.
And if more people will just have more integrity, the world would be a better place. Like, put your grocery cart back. If you see trash on the side of the road and there's a trash can right there, just pick it up. Or open the door. Or you find money on the ground. Like, yeah, you can keep it for yourself, but like, donate it.
Yeah.
Give it to the animal shelter so they can buy animal food. Yeah. Or I remember one time I found a wallet on my way to work. I rode my bike to work, and there was $150 in it, and a ID and all that stuff. And so I Googled the person, and it turns out this person had like a really bad record of domestic abuse and violence. He'd been arrested a couple times. So I took that money and I donated it to my friend's lupus thing, because I was like, screw this guy. He's a bad guy. Like, I'm sure he's bummed he's missing $150, but he's hit women. He's hit children. He's hit anybody.
Yeah. He's not a guy who needs his $150 back and should have to go through the turmoils of having to find his new wallet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good karma and bad karma.
Yeah,
there's some bad karma for you, man. And like, this money's going to help fund lupus research so we can figure out how we can get rid of it, or treatment or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. I always try to do the right thing. And sometimes I don't always do the right thing, or I feel like it's the right thing and it's probably not. But I know people will argue with me like, oh, you should have returned that guy's stuff. And for me, I'm like, well, he's an asshole, so I'm not going to give him his stuff back.
Yeah, I agree with your decision on that one for sure.
Yeah.
The other people I can understand that everyone is different. They can have their own opinion, sure.
Yeah.
For me, like like the wallet story is incredible because so I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And so, but I love to dance and I love to go out. And so like when I travel, I'll dance at a place and I love to that's how I communicate and I get a feel for a place. I just go to different, bars and clubs and just dance around with the people and get a feel for it, no matter the country or whatever. And then like I always, because of this, like people are drunk or whatever, I always like on the street or when I'm walking after this, I like to then like go and decompress and like take in the architecture of where I'm at. So I'll walk around and I'll like see all the cool stuff and take it all in and just kind of, breathe and just exist.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, I love it because it's one of the only times where I can really like slow down, and take things in, like look at beauty and dance and feel really good in my body. And so I always find wallets like everywhere I, because it just happens. And
yeah,
the lengths that I go through to get these people's wallets back are like incredible. I always like, I'll find out, I find out who they are. I call them up and I always like, cause if I lost my wallet, man, and somebody called me and this has happened to me before, the good karma does exist, so it's like I said, I've done a ton of fucked up shit in my life for sure.
And we all have.
And we all have, and we're all growing. But like, I literally, that's such a, good motto and a good way to live is just like, try to do the next right thing. Like even when no one's watching, because that's what's going to that's what makes the world a better place.
It really does, and the whole saying, like, be the change you want to see in the world. I try to do that, and sometimes doing the right thing is hard, but just got to do it. Like, yeah, who wouldn't want to keep something cool that they found, but it's like, no, turn it in because that person's looking for it.
Right.
And it's important to that person and they want it. And like just that feeling you get when you get that thing back that you thought you lost forever, like that feels good.
Yeah, it really does feel so good. And like, then it gives you hope in humanity again. So imagine all this stuff when you're giving people hope in humanity. And like, that's sometimes too, at the same time, people who are doing this stuff, like give yourself credit for this and feel good and feel the good feelings that you're putting out into the world. Because a lot of people, they can just, give. And then, and I only say this because like I said before, I was that guy who could only just give. So just appreciate those people, tell them that, tell them you love them and help, make it this, like the whole society, every community, better.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like we're a community and I think we've forgotten that. It's like, yeah, I live in Sanford and we just became a city. We have tens of thousands of people at 30,000, 40,000, whatever it is to be a city. Maybe it's 50, I don't know. But it's like, we're still a community and we should care about each other and help each other. And like, let's make the town better. There's trash all over the streets. Let's organize something and go pick it up. Or, there's like that old person that lives on your street. Go take the trash out for them, help them. Ask them if they need anything when you go to the grocery store. Because we're all human and we're still a big family. And it's like, yeah, you can get pissed off because this guy like cut you off or somebody in the grocery store like wasn't paying attention. They rammed into your cart, or whatever. Like people do things to irritate you, but you have to remember people don't do these things on purpose. Some might. Very small percentage of the population is just, they are just miserable. But people make mistakes and they don't mean any malintent. And like you being angry with them in return, that doesn't help anything.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about like trying to communicate with them and trying to grow with them. Or trying to figure out where, just continue to clean up your side of the street, be the best version of yourself so that other people see that and they see, like, that's what I have to remember a lot of the times. It's like, you're not going to get this instant gratification, especially in this world of instant gratification. So like, I put 1,000 carts back, or I hold 1,000 doors for people. You show up 1,000 times and like, maybe on that 1,000 times is like when somebody really sees it and it changes their life. Like all those other 999 times, you're really helping somebody and making a difference. But like, you just got to keep doing it, and because you don't know where somebody's at, at that in their life, and like you holding that door, like that, you could save their life. Like that's the just because that person's feeling miserable that day, and then you hold the door for them, and they say, "Oh, thank you so much. That's incredible."
Yeah, and people, even the smallest act of kindness, like some people need that. You never know, like that guy, maybe he did what he did because his mind's distracted because his mom just died. Or this person's going through a breakup, or this person just lost, their business went under, and now they're trying to figure it out. You don't think clearly when you're under stress. everybody is stressed out nowadays. I mean, just look at the world that we've been living in for the last couple of years. We are stressed to the max. You have to remember that. We're all facing the trickle-down effect from the lockdown and all that just happened.
Yep.
And you just have to remember that. Like, just be kind. Hurt people hurt people. That saying exists for a reason. That is just a hurt person.
Yep.
And they need love. They really do. And yeah, just holding the door for them or buying the coffee for the guy behind you, like, that goes so far. People remember those things.
Yeah. Like what we're talking about is what I call, the giddy up.
Yeah.
It's what you do. You hold the door for somebody, that's a giddy up. You show up to the softball game for your nieces and nephews, that's a giddy up. Somebody, in front of you buy them a coffee, you pay somebody's toll, you just all this stuff, that's enhancing the community and making a better place to live. Like that's a giddy up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. 100%.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So then you became an instructor?
Yeah. So then, I was an instructor, but I wasn't a certified instructor. So now I have to go through another about 6 month stint where it's basically an apprenticeship. So we teach this class up at Fairchild Air Force Base called SV80. And it's what all our air crew and pilots go through. And it's survival training. So it's like if your aircraft, has damage in flight and you get shot down, and like if you have to leave the aircraft for whatever reason, like now what do I do? How do you leave the aircraft safely? How do you get to the ground safely? How do you survive on the ground? And then how do you get picked up? So it's kind of like, what do you do?
Right.
And we do that for like in the air. We do that if they land in the water. We try to simulate every possible scenario for them. So that way, when it happens, they go right back to their training. They don't waste a second and they have a chance to survive. So that's what I started teaching up there. So what you do is there's a class, pretty much, it's always going. It was 19 days. I don't know what it is now, but class would finish, another class would start every Monday. Boom, 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 boom. You had a class going. And so I would go for a class, and my first one, 0% interaction. I would watch a certified seasoned instructor, take notes, all this stuff. Next class, I would teach 30%, so a couple lessons here and there. Next one, I think it was either 50 or 70%. So you teach more each time until eventually you get to 100%. So by your third or fourth SV80 class that you go out to, you should be teaching everything. Cool. And once you've shown them that you can teach everything to the standard, you become a certified instructor and you're allowed to teach by yourself. So I think I got certified in 5 trips. And then from there, I was a certified instructor, had my own crew every time. And I was there, I think I had 42 total SV80 classes that I taught.
How many?
42.
Wow, cool.
So I was there for about 4 years. So I had a class almost pretty much every month almost.
Now that the SV80?
SV80.
SV80. Yeah. So that's like every single, so you're getting interaction with people from the Marines and from the...
just the Air Force.
Oh, it's just the Air Force.
Yep.
Okay.
Every branch has their own SERE program.
Okay.
And so I was just with the Air Force.
Okay. Because we had that's what I was saying earlier, that we're becoming a supporter of the Air Force, is because we had a combat controller on the show, Connor Matthews. He's a, UFC guy, going to, MMA guy going to get his UFC contract. He's
very cool.
Yeah. He's a really, really cool dude. And he told me a story that he had, him as a combat controller had to go and have some type of, SERE training. Mm-hmm. Like, I was wondering if that's maybe what it was.
We would get, we call them battlefield airmen. So we would get them early in their pipeline, in their training. Theirs is like 2 years. Theirs is really long.
Yeah.
And I had like 1 or 2 battlefield airmen groups, but they'd usually give that to like the most gung-ho guy in the flight. So in SERE, up at Fairchild, everybody's broke down into flights. And there we had 4 of them. We had Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. And I was in Charlie flight. And so, because, an SV80 class would start on a Monday, and Alpha would take over that class. And then that following Monday, Bravo would pick up another SV80 class. So every week an SV80 class would start. So week 1, you'd be on base learning stuff. And then week 2, you'd go to the field. So once you went out to the field, new class would come in and they'd be in the classroom. So it was constantly rotating. And every class had like 70, 80 people. We trained thousands of people every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. He said, and now at this time, I wasn't fully grasping this because I didn't realize that you were one of 20. But he said, when he was coming up through his ranks, he gave like a hard time to the SERE specialist who was a woman, who he said was a pretty woman. And, you of course are pretty.
It could have been me. It could have been, there's another one I'm thinking of. She's pretty.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you're very pretty too, but it was either one of you guys. And he said that he's like, oh, I wonder if it was her, like, cause she put me right in my place, cause he was trying to be like, oh, I'm a tough combat controller. And
oh yeah. Okay. I think, this rings a bell. It might've been me. Yeah.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah. I remember, and this was like a different part of in SERE that I was working, and I had a student that was, he wanted to be very machismo. I was like, oh, is this how you want to play it? All right. So I did put that. I don't know if he was a combat controller or not, but every time he tried to do something, I would trick him, and yeah.
Yeah, that is the story. So whether it was
it might have been me.
It might have been you.
That's
and
funny. I remember the look on his face every time, and I was like, I bet you thought you were smart, huh? And then I would do this thing, and he'd realize he was wrong, and he was like, you just see the look on his face, like this. Don't be an asshole, man. Like, it gets nowhere.
Right.
Nowhere. Well,
that's the thing, and that's like that's what he said at the end. He said, this was a great learn. I was this, I'm a combat controller who's jumping out of fucking planes and hey-hoing and haloing and doing all this stuff. I think I'm the most badass, and I'm 22 years old, whatever, 20 years old. And then he's like, to get, to be humbled like that, because that, he's like, I've had, I needed that training. I needed that training or I'm shit out of luck. If things go, south for me or my team, like this is where we learn how to, how to escape, how to keep us safe and how to get out.
And that's why the military trains all the time, because we want you to make mistakes in training.
Yep.
That's where you make your mistakes, because you can't afford it when you're out there in the shit and the real stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you were just this, this example, because I know that when I'm watching the first episode, like one of my first introductions to you on your first, your 21 days in South Africa, you said, the world needs, more strong women.
Yeah. And that's just not strong physically. I mean, it's strong mentally.
Well, you already said it. It's 90-10, right?
It's 90-10, yeah.
The body follows the mind.
Mm-hmm. And that's like strength, mental toughness. That's where you get your discipline from. That's how you do the right thing, and that's how you take care of people. It's all up top.
Yeah, mental discipline is a real thing. Like,
it's hard.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, I'm a health guy, right? I'm trying to live my healthiest life. I'm talking about this stuff all the time. I have access to the most incredible people, and I still eat candy all the time. And
I love candy. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and it makes me feel, and then guess what? I wake up the next day and I feel like shit.
Feel good.
Yeah, I feel like shit. My bowel movements are horrible, and I'm just like, this is not what my body wants. This is the exact opposite of what I want, and I know that. But then maybe at like 6:30 that night when I'm watching the Celtics, I might say, oh, giddy up, a couple gummies, it might be tasty right now, so you have to be disciplined, and you have to, that's why we have to support each other too, and we have to be there for each other, because it's, as much as you need to take care of yourself, like, we can, when you do that, you could give out this great energy that everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to make themselves better just because you're doing it.
Yeah, it's motivating. It's like, where do you think I got it from? It didn't just come out of thin air. I watched somebody else do it.
Right.
So, and that's what people have to think. It's like, you don't know who you're inspiring or who's watching you or what they're thinking and what they're taking away from it. Because a lot of times people don't say anything to you, but it changes their life. And I've had people reach out to me, years after something happened or after I've met them, and they bring up this one incident or this one thing, and they're like, what you said or what you did, like, that inspired me to start doing this. And it's like, and then before you know it, it's like they've lost 200 pounds, or they're doing that thing they finally said they wanted to do, or like I had one woman, she restored this old, like, small retro camper, like a little 10-foot camper. Because I had done that years ago. My uncle, when he passed, he left me this 10-foot little travel trailer, and it was just wrecked. Should have gone to the dump. But I fixed it. And, I shared my progress with people, and that inspired one person, and she did it, and she showed me the pictures, and I was like, holy shit, you did that? So you never know. And I had no idea until 2-3 years after the fact when she reached out to me.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah. And I love that. And that's why, like, you just feel those feelings, everybody. Like, I'm going to take the time right now to take the second to feel those feelings, because I'm trying to start something here with this with Dr. BeeWell, the movement that I'm putting together. And sometimes it's not easy. A lot of times it's not easy. But I just want to keep putting good out there and keep showing people that if you do this, if you do this work and you make it accessible to people, then, only great things can come from it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So now, so you're crushing the Air Force, you do that. And I want to know, like, so you Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid.
How did they reach out to you like the first time? Like, how did you get set up?
Yeah. So I never applied to be on the show. I never did.
That's awesome.
I got a phone call one day from my friend Ryan, who was still in the Air Force, and he was all excited. And he's like, Cheeny's like, or Plant, everybody call me by my last name still. And he's like, somebody from like Discovery Channel is like, they're calling around. They want a female SERE specialist for the, whatever season. And he's like, we didn't give them your contact info because we wanted your permission first. And I was like, well, I didn't know it was Naked and Afraid. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Because like I was working some dead-end job at a brewery, and I hated that brewery so much. And but I was just sticking with it, and I was like, I need a change. And then
being patient and just waiting for your time to come when you could be doing more of what you wanted to do, waiting for opportunity.
Yep. And
staying mentally focused so you could strike at that opportunity when it arose.
Yeah, exactly. So, which was actually it was the perfect excuse for me to quit that brewery, because I was like, well, I'm going to go do this instead. And so they call me and they're like talking about, I don't remember what, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's a survival TV show. And like, it had already been out for years, but they're making it sound like it was this new thing. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, just don't be Naked and Afraid. Just of all the shows, like, just don't let this be Naked and Afraid. And she's like, have you ever heard of Naked and Afraid? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. And for like, at first I was like, I don't think so. It's like, I don't really have the desire to go out and do that. But I had this feeling like you should probably try anyway. And it took years to get on. Because, TV, it's always changing. They want this person for this season. They're trying to build a story. And they're like, well, we don't really know where we're going to fit you in on this season, so we're not going to use you this year. We'd like to use you next year. So next year rolls around, and I'm going through all the things, because you have to have, med screening and all that stuff. And it takes several days. And it's like you get blood work and all this stuff, and talk with a psychologist, make sure you're not crazy. And I didn't pass the medical because I have Raynaud's, that circulatory thing.
Yeah.
And I fought them on it. And they're like, well, if you can get a note from your doctor, we'll consider it. And I was like, I go to the VA, I can barely get an appointment. I was like, whatever. So I was pissed. And I got kanksed last minute. Like, I was supposed to leave in a couple weeks, and the doctor came back and they're like, well, your results, and we can't do this. It's too much of a liability. So I was like, damn it. So I was like, whatever. So I was like, whatever. That's not happening. Year goes by, and I get contacted again to be on the show, which I'm surprised. I'm like, I thought I was medically disqualified, but turns out it was not a problem. I don't know. And I was able to get a letter from my doctor that year because I had more time.
Yep.
And so I went on and I did the Battle of the Sexes. I was paired up with another woman. There's two men. You don't know that. Like, you just think it's Naked Afraid 21 Days. You show up and I'm like, my partner's not a man, it's a woman. And it turns out, I have to meet up with these two guys halfway through.
Yeah.
So
quick questions first. Why did you have that original feeling about Naked and Afraid?
Because it was such a weird, off-the-wall thing to happen. It's like, why would somebody, they found me on social media, they want me to be out here, they reached out to me. Like, why would this be happening?
Yeah, but you wanted it to be any other show besides Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, because like,
was it the naked thing?
In a way, yeah. I used to be, I still am a modest person, and now it's like, I go into the gym, I go in the locker room, like, whatever, we all have the same body parts, I just get naked right there. But before, I would like go in the stall and change.
I love this.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about it quick.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing that I think that, for whatever reason, society, like, I was a person who, I wouldn't like openly, and I think with men it's different. I think it's all the same. We're all, self-conscious and have this stuff, but like, men specifically, like, we have this thing called a penis.
Yeah.
that literally that we like judge. It's everything in your life. It's everything about, the size of it, the way it looks, circumcised, uncircumcised, all of it. It's so we're so like defined by it. So I knew that I had like subconscious feelings about just my body or whatever it was, and I wanted to just like, not feel that way. I wanted to feel whole and feel like I could just, be myself. And So like I had, I was starting to dance and starting to express myself more and learn about like who I was and what I wanted to do and trying to push boundaries and make myself uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because I learned like through dance, like when I first started trying to dance, everyone's heard the show 1,000 times. I'm sorry, listeners. But when I started to dance, I would try to go dance and I would throw up because I was so subconsciously nervous about what was going on. My nervous system just took over and I'd have to run to the bathroom and vomit. And that's what I learned like breath, that's what got me to do yoga is because I learned breath. Breath work I was able to like control this anxiety feeling and I was able to make it go away while I was dancing. So I was like, okay, this is amazing. I got through that uncomfortability and now I have this tool, this thing. If I need to de-stress myself, I have a really hard week or I have a really hard month or something, I just need to go dance and that's it. And then the next day I'll feel better and I'll feel better for the next 2 weeks. And so it's like I figured out how to cultivate this medicine for myself. And so I was learning that like, with the being naked thing, I just kept thinking about it like, okay, is this like, it's something that like, I don't know why, I feel this way or, I didn't go in a stall, but I probably turned around at the gym or, whatever it was. So then, and I started to like go to the gym more and I was going in the sauna and, you got a lot of the old guys walking around buck naked, not giving a shit, and it's like, I'm thinking in my head, like, why do these guys come in here with these unbelievable conversations? I'm in my yoga shorts and it's like, why do I, why am I like this? Why can't I be like this guy? Why can't I be comfortable with myself like this person? And the only way is through. So I had to challenge myself. And so I started to, a few years ago, like I would look for places when I was traveling where this was an appropriate thing because you can't just take your clothes off wherever you want, and you shouldn't be able to,
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Children you got to, 100% you need to, but there should always be places where this is a thing where people can engage in this. And so there's a lot of beaches and there's a ton of private communities and stuff like that I've never gotten that deep into it, but whenever I'm traveling and there's a beach, within a half hour, of where I am, where I can take my clothes off, I do it. And it started like the first time I remember just being so nervous and like, having that same throw up feeling.
Oh yeah.
But just being like, holy shit, I got to do this. And I just, I saw the sign that said you may encounter nude people after this beach. And, I was at, I was in Miami and I said, I was at Hallover Beach in Miami. I said, okay, giddy up, here we go, man. And I did it. And then I walked, I walked, put my stuff in my backpack, I was completely naked. And I just walked on that beach for the day. And so incredibly freeing, so incredibly like, taught me exactly like everything that I needed to learn, that the clothes didn't really matter. It's not, being naked it can be a sexual thing, but it's not a sexual thing, and it's earnest, it's just how we exist as people.
Yeah.
And, there are some people who go to these beaches who are creeps and those people who definitely exist, but like it's such a small percentage.
Oh, it's super small.
And and so like it's just so freeing. So now I take this opportunity whenever I can. So I was excited to kind of talk to you about this because I enjoy it. I think that it's really good for you.
It's so good to be naked.
Okay.
It's so great. And like I encourage people to do it more. Like, well, within reason, obviously, like, yeah, you can't be naked wherever you want to be, and nor should you. Yeah, like I remember when I got home from the challenge, actually backtrack, my very first 21-day one, you get off that insertion vehicle. This is your first time stripping down for me in front of strangers, plural. Like there's a cameraman, producer, sound guy. I don't know these people. And I'm like, I'm nervous. I could barely unbutton my shirt. And I'm just like, why? Don't freak out about this. Like you're in the 15th season of Naked and Afraid. They've seen this before. You're not the first naked person on the show. I'm like, they've seen it before. And I guarantee you they've seen worse. And I was like, I'm going to be naked for 21 days anyway. I might as well get comfortable with it now. So boof, off it goes. And then within the first like 20 minutes, you're so in the moment, you forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget you're naked, but you'll never forget that you don't have shoes on. And even when I got back from the challenge, it was a weird adjustment getting back into regular life. Like you go from something, I mean, you're out in nature and you're connected and you go through something out there. And then when you come home and you're thrust back into this wacko world of ours, it's intense. And so what I would do is there was days where I didn't want to leave the house. I'd put all the blinds down, whatever, and I would just get naked.
I love it.
And I would just be around the house naked. So I was like, I feel good. Like it put me back in Africa. And I was just like, I just need to do this for a little while I transition back into the regular world. And even now, like I'll walk around my house naked. I have no problems. I'll go you can kind of like see my backyard, but like I'll lay out suntan naked. I'll just put some blankets up on the banisters.
Yeah.
It's like the people in the townhouses across the field can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like, oh, go to a nude beach. Sure, I would go to a nude beach, 100%.
We'll go together.
Yeah, we'll go.
Cool.
It's like, because it's not weird.
Yeah.
People think like, yeah, like you're saying, that being naked is a sexual thing, and it's like, not really. Like the naked human body. I mean, it's kind of weird. Let's be real. Like we have weird body parts. They look weird, and the fact that being naked can be a sexual thing, that's the weird thing. Like when you really think about it.
Right.
And it's just like, you gotta think too, like American society.
It is so weird if you actually think about it. Like people just think about like the stuff that we do, like kissing each other on the mouth and all this stuff that we do. Like it's so natural and it's great. That's great too. I support that at all. Like healthy sexual relationships are an awesome thing. If you're of age and you're consensual, like that's a giddy up. But it is so wild because it's not like, the intention was to carry us. That's what our bodies are for, to do everything for us, not just this one little baby thing, sexual health.
Yeah. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. Right.
And like, you can't really blame us for how we feel today. Like there's a lot of shame, in America. Look who came. Well, the people that came here first, not the people that were here first, but like they came over from England. Like you look at somebody from England in the 1600s, you didn't see skin.
Right.
They were covered head to toe. This is generations of shame trickling over. And then you had the Victorian era. And then, just humanity comes in cycles. Like we have just been conditioned to think that it's a bad thing. I remember the first time I went to Burning Man, it is a culture shock in and of itself, but I'm just like, I wish I had the confidence to just walk around the playa naked. I do now. Yeah. If I go back to Burning Man, hell yeah, I'm gonna ride my bicycle naked as the day I was born.
That's an okay thing to do there?
Oh yeah, you can be naked.
When did you go to Burning Man?
I went in 2016.
Okay, maybe we do a beach or we just go to Burning Man together. Because that's something that I really, really need to experience in my life. You
do. I think a lot of people need to experience it because it gets a bad rap for people thinking that it's just drug fest. And that is not at all what it is.
Cool.
Some of the most brilliant and creative people go to the Burn every year and they build the most incredible structures. And they do it in a matter of days. Or it's built in 2 weeks by the time the burn is done. They burn it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so cool. And just there's people there that are engineers and scientists and you name it. And it's like, I'll never forget there was these lighthouses that somebody made. And they had drawbridges between them. And they two of them shot out of the ground at angles and one was straight up. And I was like, this person just came here and they built this in a week. And it's incredible. And they have all these mechanical things that move and twist and make these weird patterns and weird shapes and stuff that I would be multiple lifetimes of learning. I still couldn't make what these people make. And a lot of people go there that are sober, clean. They don't even drink coffee. It's like, yeah, it's this big festival and there's definitely people on drugs there. Don't get me wrong, but that's not the point of it.
Right.
It's Disneyland for adults, and it's just you go there with an intention to just to give. Everybody has to give something in some way. Mm-hmm. It's so great.
Yeah, it's
so great. Anybody that's ever been to the Burn, you don't have I don't have to explain it to them. They get it.
Right.
And it was easily one of the best experiences of my life. Burning Man, naked and afraid, life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you're living these experiences.
Because that's what it's about.
It's literally what it's about. It's why we're here.
I know people that have never been on vacation. They've never even left the town of Sanford. They've never even left New England or Maine or whatever. People have never even driven the 4 hours north to go to Mount Katahdin. And I'm like, you're a Mainer, man. You grew up here.
Right.
You got to see that mountain.
Yeah.
That's the mountain of the people of Maine. You got to go. You don't have to hike it. You just got to look at it.
Yeah.
That's life-changing in and of itself.
Yeah, it really is. This connection with nature that you're talking about, it's existed for millennia, and
it's vital.
Yeah, and it's vital. And where we're having all this technology, we do need to start to get away, to get away from this, to figure out how to get it back into our lives and how to, consciously do things to to bring this back into society. And it's great. I see a ton of people hobby beekeeping, which is, is awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that next year.
Yeah,
you're
hives. Saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help you out.
That's going to be awesome. I use the help. Bees can be complicated from what I heard. Yeah.
Right. Oh, they're complicated for sure. You got to learn about them. Now so then the next question that I have about this, so then when you saw the woman partner, were you what was that like? Was that, were you less stressed? Were you, more stressed?
I didn't really have any feelings towards it, really. My thing, I don't care if you're male, female, tall, short, fat, thin, as long as you can just carry yourself.
Yep.
Well, as long as you're I can get along with you, you're a team player, you're helpful. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
I don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like your partner Rebel, was trying her hardest to be like that. Emotionally seemed like a pretty strong person. Physically was, got a little bit banged up early.
Yeah.
I thought that your strength to continue to take, do a little bit more of the work and to, do all this great stuff. And just, and then too, when you did, you had a nice communication with her at one point, hey, and this is exactly putting yourself first, because you can't, you said, hey, I love you and I want us to make us through this together, but this is a thing that I need to do for myself and not to giddy up, and I'm gonna do this no matter what. Mm-hmm. And you were there for her and you communicate, and then I'm thinking wow, it's crazy, it's amazing how women can communicate to each other, because I'm trying to think I wish men could communicate like that to one another.
Yeah, I know. And we have, this, there is a strong line between male and female. And people want to blend it, and I'm you can think and do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, there's men and there's women, and we are very different.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We are very different. And with Rebel, it was never intentional. I knew that she wasn't not doing things because she didn't want to. She could not.
Right.
And there's stuff the camera didn't show about how sick she really was.
Right, I bet.
And she was such a trooper, man. I would go, our water source was not close. I counted the pace. I would count because, SERE specialist land navigation, I do a pace count. It's how far is this water? It's 400 paces, which is about a quarter mile. And so I'd go get the water, bring it back, check the fishing lines, all that stuff. I'd be gone for an hour or two, whatever. You have to reset the fishing lines or just sit out and wait, see if you could see something coming up to the water source. And, I'd be doing all these things because it needed to be done. And she couldn't physically walk to the water source. She couldn't, do the fishing and all that stuff. I was well, I'll take on that burden. But she would still go out and collect firewood.
That's what, she was being that's how I knew that she was still emotionally still trying to really do her thing, and came from good, from good stock, because just her belief in herself, because she just kept trying, even though I knew how she was probably, losing so much fluid out of, every orifice in her body, that's just how it goes when when you're sick like that. And it just, I saw that and I just thought it was really cool how she handled it. And then it was really cool how you handled it. And it was sad that she wasn't able to make it, but it was cool. Yeah. It was cool that you got to, they'll go join a new team. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because
boys,
boys, right? So here we are, right? So this is what I'm thinking when I'm watching the episode, because I have the naked feelings, and I knew that you even said it in the beginning that you could see everyone's uncomfortability. And then on day 11, when you met with the boys, mm-hmm. Nobody cares. You guys literally sprint towards each other and gave each other a hug.
Never met this person in my life before, and he's naked and just boom, 2 naked bodies right on me.
Yes.
Don't care.
Right?
Don't care. I'm I'm so happy to see you guys. I'm now we can split work 3 ways. I'm thank God.
Tribe, community.
And a bow, and it's there's animals everywhere out here. I was God.
Yes, right, exactly. And that was great. Is were there a time, because on the show it showed you being very very good at fishing. Mm. And that was kind of the skill that you were bringing for, at least in the first show, the skill that you were bringing forth. And but did you see a ton of game, springbok and
we saw a ton of impala, but what people don't realize is these animals are hyper vigilant.
Oh yeah,
hyper vigilant. Their sense of smell, eyesight, everything, it puts the white-tailed deer and the turkey to shame. They know you're there long before you even know they're there, and you have to be there at the right place at the right time to get these guys. And impala, when they hear a noise, they'll either duck or they'll jump. You don't know what one they're going to do, but they're going to do one of them. So when you shoot, you need to be okay, do I shoot a little high to catch the jump, or do I shoot a little low to catch the duck? And that's what people don't realize. It's they don't know how these animals operate. It's for me with fishing, I fly fish, so I know like how to read the water. I know fish behavior and like all that stuff, and like the right time, the right place, like all this stuff. And so that's how I'm able to catch fish, because I understand the fish.
Right.
Like, know your enemy.
Yeah.
Same thing with animals. If you don't know the pattern of life of a tom turkey, you're probably not going to get one when hunting season rolls around.
Right.
You know, it's like you have to do your homework and your due diligence. And these are animals that we don't have any experience with because we're from America. And Jared, he can shoot a bow. He's a very talented archer, and he hunts all the time, and he's got numerous kills. They're all American animals. Right. That's what people don't realize. Right. And like and that's why I try not to read the comments, because people will say things like, "Oh, I can't believe he didn't get anything." He's like, "Oh, they think he sucks," and it's like, you guys have no idea. He would sit in that blind all day long. He doesn't have water. He would sit out there all day. And then he'd come back, and we had a pot ready for him, fully boiled, and we just let him drink all of it. He put his time in. Yeah. And that's hunting. Yep. Sometimes you don't see anything. Right. Or the wind is different that day. Or, there could have been a predator in the area that we didn't see. The animals know it's there. They're not going to come around. Right. There's all these things, and it's like there's a backstory. And people forget that when they watch these TV shows. I'm guilty of it. I'll watch and be like, why did they do that? And it's like, there's a reason why they didn't do it, just didn't get shown. Yeah. And that's what people need to remember. And that's when it comes down to like, be kind. And that's why I don't read the comments, because people say the meanest stuff about some of the other cast members. And it breaks my heart, because I talk to the other cast members and we're friends. We call each other. Jared and Rusty, I talk to them almost every single day. That's amazing. For 2 years. That's amazing. We send each other gifts. We call each other on the phone. We used to, for weeks, or actually months, afterwards, we called each other every other day, weekly. We do video chats. We don't do it anymore because Jared's got kids. Life. He's traveling in Ecuador right now. But you build this wicked tight bond, and you feel like you have to defend them because they're your family now. It's like, I don't want somebody to say something mean about my mom. I'm going to defend my mom. That's how I feel about the guys. Yeah. It's like, he's not a bad hunter. Don't say that. Yeah, right. That's you don't know what I saw. Right. He's actually a fucking awesome hunter who just, he's the man. He's fucking tits. And he just, here, here's an opportunity that just didn't come around. It just didn't happen, And that's, and you're out there filming a TV show. Like, there's people out there. Yeah. And that's the other thing, too. It's like, so it's like that, it's not, you're not fully, that way immersed in terms of, the other people aren't rubbing elephant dung all over their body to mask their smell. They're a producer, a cameraman, they're just doing their job, Some of them smoke cigarettes. Yeah, shit. Okay. Yeah, right. Come on. Right. Exactly. Come on. You're not going to be realistic. You got to be realistic. Yeah.
Well, it's also, it's hunting and fishing, not catching and killing.
Exactly. And that's what I tell people. Like, if it was, they'd call it catching if you got a fish every single time. I can't really tell you how many times I've been skunked. All the time. All the time.
Yeah. On the show, you got skunked,
Oh, God, I'll never forget it, and I have no, embarrassment towards it or anything. I fully embraced that moment, because that is a real human moment right there.
Oh, it was so real, and it was like the way you handled it. You were just like, you were so angry, so mad, but you didn't give up, and you didn't let it get too much. So many people that would have fucked their psyche, and they would have been donezo. Yep. But no, you stayed true, and and I was like, dude, this girl. Though.
Yeah, I was like, now I know how to not catch a catfish.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now I know what to do next time.
Yeah, when you screw up, you're like, you don't make that same mistake twice.
Right. Yeah.
God, I'll never forget it. It's like it happened yesterday. You're excited. You're like, I'm finally gonna eat. And I haven't eaten in a week, literally. Right. And you're like, yes, I'm so excited. And I'm like, it's an Africa catfish. I'm like, I don't know anything. One, we don't have catfish in Maine. I don't like catfish. I've eaten it. It tastes like shit. I don't like it. I don't know anything about catfish. And it's an African catfish. I'm like, if I grab it, there's some spikes gonna come out of it. I'm like, I don't want to touch the thing. And I don't know. And of course, the minute I'm like, best ever. Oh, I don't want to lose it. The minute I said it, that thing fell off the hook, and I'm just like, and my mind just went like, I gotta get it. And I'm digging through the water. I have a knife in one hand. There's fish hooks in the water. I can't see them. They're in mud, and I'm like swirling around trying to find this thing. And I'm like, stop. You just had a fish hook in your finger, and now there's fish hooks in the water that you can't see, and you're flailing around like a fish. That thing's gonna go in your hand, and then you're gonna have to deal with that shit again. So I'm like, just calm down. Fish is gone.
Yeah, everybody. So for people who haven't watched the series yet, definitely watch the episode 15, season 15, episode.
No, it's season 14. Season 15 just came out.
Season 14,
episode 10.
Episode 10.
Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah, Battle of the Sexes. It's awesome. It's a great episode. But the second day Cheeny was there, she put a fish hook through her hand.
Right through my finger. Yep. And that's another, I mean, you ask anybody that's been fishing for a long time, you've hooked yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's hooked themselves. I don't care who you are. And I mean, the fishing line was a little bit thick, thicker than I really needed for that situation. And, you know, I always will take like a pen or a stick or something like that. I'll put the hook around it and then I'll pull. But this time I was like, oh, I'll be okay. Famous last words. It's just this one time. And it just slipped. And it was so quick. And the barb was and the hook was so sharp. I didn't even feel it.
Yeah,
I just look and I'm like, that thing is, I mean, it was in.
Yeah, it was in. They had to rip it. They had to rip it through her thumb to get it out.
Yeah, they cut the eye off and then they just pushed it through, and that's when it hurt. When the other part of the hook poked through the other side, and it wouldn't break the skin. That was the most painful part. Everything else, like, it didn't hurt.
Right.
All. So people are watching it like, oh my god. I'm like, well, it actually didn't hurt until got it through to the other side, and then it was like Wolverine. It was good. After the next day, I was like, can't even really tell I had anything there.
Wow, that's amazing. I think you would have had pain there, you know.
Nope, I just didn't do anything with it that day and tried to keep it clean and like smooth sailing after that. I was good.
Okay.
I still to this day like forget it even happened, but yeah,
naked and frustrated.
Naked and frustrated.
That's what you said.
My life. Yep.
Yeah, it's like the only time they showed you crying on the first show is when your teammate left.
When Rebel left,
which I thought was so powerful. Again, like that how you as a person.
It's real, man. Like, you know that, I mean, she was sick and I was like, unless there's a miracle and she pulls through on this thing, I was like, but then when it happens and you watch them walk away, when the robe comes out, it gets real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that vehicle pulls up and you're like, I'm never going to see her again.
Right.
There she goes.
Yeah. It's so tough. And then just having to go on that journey just by yourself, but you probably weren't too worried about that, mate, because you were just excited to get with the new teammates.
I can just go.
Yep.
That's the good thing. But like, being prior military is you basically learn to just shut your brain off.
Yeah. Because
military training, not all the time, but most of the time, like good chunk of the time, like it sucks. Like SERE training sucked. It was, lack of sleep, cold temperatures. And being out in the field doing training for the weekend, it's, you're standing on 8 feet of snow and it's, I don't know what the temperature was. We didn't have a thermometer, but when you wake up in the morning and you put on frozen boots and you have to do that every day it's only a week, but still.
Yeah.
And you're living it.
Yeah.
I'm living in a lean-to made out of pine boughs.
Yeah. It was just so.
And the fire's over there. I can't have it over here. So I have to get out of my sleeping bag in the freezing ass temperatures, pack up all my stuff, and then I can go over to the fire. Well, we'll have to build it first. And it's like, task saturation. They literally give you a laundry list of things to do, and they know you're never going to complete them, but you're up all night. I remember we had to dig out our camp. We've been digging for hours and it was dark. I don't know what time it was, but I fell asleep shoveling snow. That's how exhausted I was. So you just kind of learn, you get conditioned, and that's why training, we try to make it harder than what you're going to go through in real life, because then it feels just a little bit easier when it happens for real, because you're like, well, I did this before and it was a lot harder. So like when I got on,
makes sense.
Yeah. So when I got on Naked and Afraid, I was like, yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm cold, but I've been more tired and I've been more cold.
Yeah.
And I did it for longer. And this sucks, but it's going to be over soon.
Right.
Like it's already been 2 years since I filmed my first one.
Yeah.
It's been not a year yet since I filmed the solo. Like, blink of an eye.
Yeah. And so the solo, that was it. So then your solo, that was the next one. So you crushed Naked, you've crushed the first challenge, and then they wanted you to go back to South Africa to do the solo challenge, which was an 8-part series, where they featured you. I would say that you were the backbone of the show for sure.
Yeah.
They start with you and they finish with you, which is really,
I'm so grateful.
Cool.
I really am. And I was just talking to my producer today, actually, because I like him. He's a nice guy. And I still talk to people that I've worked with and just checking in and send them Christmas cards and stuff like that. And because it just finished. And so I was just chatting about it and how I felt about the solo series, and like to be the opener, the closer, to have everything they showed, all the highlights. It's like, wow, like what I want to say honor, but it's like they really made that experience worth it for me, because it was And it was awful. It was a nightmare. Every day was a struggle out there, like hard. I had to like really give myself some pep talks.
Yeah,
to pull through.
This one, guys. So Cheeny was by herself, solo. She was in the Great Karoo Desert, back in South Africa. Now, Karoo is known for like having super volatile temperatures. It can be very super hot during the day and then really cold during the night. So Cheeny was dealing with temperatures as low as 20 degrees.
Yeah, at least.
At least, yeah, that's minimum, and that's not including there was a wind chill, a very very significant wind chill, probably taking that down at least another 10 to 15 degrees.
The wind was always there.
Yeah, and so so this was it was a little bit different because they must have saw that you needed some, they saw how cold the forecast was going to be, so they gave you some skins, some animal skins.
I remember walking up, I could see the bag hanging off the tree in the distance, and as I got closer, I could see the bundle of fur, and I was just like, I have a chance now. Yeah,
because you said that because you have Raynaud's, and so what Raynaud's is, everybody is, it's basically a circulatory, syndrome where you're not able to bring blood to your hands or your feet, your extremities, and that can be characterized by losing numbness, discoloration, and then complete like paralysis is what it can ultimately get to.
Yeah.
And it's just makes it harder to exist in cold temperatures. That's how it goes. So, you have that. Yeah. That's why you couldn't get on the first time
and
of the show.
The irony of the whole situation. That's what stopped me from being on it. And then this ended up being like my triumph.
Yeah.
Like the solo, it was hard. And like there's a time like when you watch the series, there's a moment where I have a moment of weakness and I want to go home and I want to quit.
Yeah.
And I pull myself out of that. And it's like, well, just give yourself one more day. Just give yourself one more day. And I kept saying that, all right, one more day. Okay, one more night, one more day, one more night. I just kept doing that.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that emotion from you yet. Like, watching all this series, I was like, this girl's the strongest person who I've ever, and then to see that, I was like, whoa, she must be really dealing with it.
Yeah, I got pushed to my limits daily.
Yeah, but then guess what? The only way is fucking through.
The only way is through. Yeah.
And in the next episode, you get a little bit warmer of a day, and you say, guess what, everyone? This is what actually happened. So she gets a little bit warmer of a day, so she can actually work during the day, and she makes her shelter way better.
Yeah.
You fucking crushed your shelter.
Dude, that thing, I realized, like, because first I made, everybody does the standard lean-to mistake. I only had so much time, right?
Of course, yeah, the first day.
Like, I just need to get something over me because I still have to get firewood and do all this other stuff.
Yep.
So every day you just do what you can. And I realized, like, okay, I need to trap the heat. So I made a rock wall and I had a fire reflector. Like, okay. And then I was like, this isn't good enough. I made the wall bigger.
Yeah, so the first day, everyone, so then like she has this epiphany, I'm going to stay, I'm going to do this. And then she makes this beautiful shelter thinking that it's going to be way better that night. And it wasn't. It wasn't. It might have been a little bit better, but you just said it didn't really work. It was still really fucking cold. Yep. And you just made it way better.
And every day, I just improved upon my shelter. So it's like, okay, I need to trap the heat more. So like, obviously I have a roof for myself. I need to enclose the fire a little bit more. So by the end of it, it looked like like a hedgehog of like these tree branches, but I had a little hole in the middle. So the heat from my fire, so the smoke, and it's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
And and then what people don't realize is you have this vegetation above your fire and it's green, and I'm not building a rager and I'm there while my fire is burning. I never left it unattended. And that dries out. You can't have dry shelter material over a fire now. So I have to remove that and I have to go cut more and I have to replace it.
Could you have wet it?
Actually I could have, yeah, but there was a time where the leaves were so dry and brittle, they would just break.
Get the fuck out of the comments, Steve.
Yeah, every day I was like, I have a problem. How do I solve it?
Yeah.
That's survival. You have to look like, what is my problem? Can I solve it?
And that's the mental is like how you keep yourself sharp too. You like said, task oriented, you do tasks and you get yourself, it's the way through, is giving yourself that experience. Cause then guess what? You complete that task and then you feel good about it and you have that confidence.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good. I can't even imagine now if I had left that first week, just the regret I would have.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here. And I mean, you watched the solo series. What an ending.
What an ending.
Holy crap.
Because you didn't know that was going to happen.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea whatsoever. I know this is the point I need to go to for extraction, and it's always a pickup truck.
Did you know that it was the the waterfall, because you specifically chose the waterfall in the solo series. There was water source everywhere, but you specifically chose the waterfall. Was that because just intuitively, or did you know to go there?
It was kind of a little bit of, it was intuitively, I guess I would say, because it's like they put those icons on there for a reason, because they're like, this would probably be a good area.
Okay.
And like,
but there was other good areas, right? Like there.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. That place ended up being great because where the water did cascade down into it, there's a large pool. So that's nice for like, you have nice, fresh, clean water. If you need to bathe or anything like that, there's probably more food in the water if it's that larger pool.
Yep.
Things get stuck in there. And it's like, I'm here for 3 weeks. I might as well have a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. I'm not I love the show. I think it's awesome. And I used to watch a ton of it. I got busy in life and hadn't watched as much of it since doing this with you. We've gotten back into it and watched quite a few episodes, and obviously your stuff, and like that's why I don't know how I would do at this. I have very little survival training, but I grew up outside. I grew up outside just like you did. Growing up, forts. My mom would send me out of the house at 7 and get back at 7. 12 hours outside with my brothers doing that. In high school, I did do a cool project. We called it Wild Boys, and I don't know why we call it that name, but it was funny. We went into the woods in my town. We went like up 2 miles into the woods in my town, and we brought we did bring a lighter, and we brought a hatchet.
Yeah.
And we each had a hatchet, one lighter. No food, and the plan was to stay 3 days. And so what we quickly learned was the first day was, you just building lean-to. I had learned how to trap. I taught myself how to trap. So I guess I have some survival training. I guess I learned how to trap and skin a rabbit. I didn't actually do it, but YouTube was just becoming a thing then. So I had learned, and, I thought, I think that I probably could have done it. I had, filleted fish my whole life. I'd been fishing. I'd done that whole thing. So but we found out the first day was so much, building fire, getting everything together, creating it. And then, we had the second day was just like, okay, get up. But then boredom, because you've set up your traps, you set up everything, and you're waiting. And so it's like, as a young 17-year-old kid, I was trying to figure out how to deal with it. And I remember, we made it the 3 days. I remember, I do think that my buddy, he like walked the 2 mile one time at like 12 p.m. He had another one of our friends like meet him, where we like walked into the woods so he could get like a couple pieces of pizza, because he was like trying to like bulk up for whatever. He just hated losing weight, and he was a skinny guy his whole life. So I remember I didn't eat, we didn't eat, we didn't eat at all.
Yeah.
So didn't eat for 3 days, but it was a cool experience, and it made me, it makes me think now, like I would love to do something like this. I would love to.
You'd be surprised at what you can do.
Yeah.
Put out there in it.
And that's cool. That's cool. Just to like challenge myself. I don't know if I could do 21 days with no training in the, in the South African bush, but maybe getting, going out for another 3 days, or doing just even a night, just doing a night or something, just to challenge myself and see where that's going. I think that might be cool.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Test yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Okay. So I have another question though. So you 7.1 to 7.4. Say you went 7.1 to 7.7 they have this score on Naked and Afraid, where if you fail, then you're what is it your the name of the score is, like your
they call it the PSR, the personal survival rating.
Personal survival rating.
Yeah.
So you went from 7.1 where you started, and then you went up to a 7.7. Mm-hmm. When you came back for the solo series, you were a 7.4.
Yeah, I don't know how they do the PSR. I don't know. And then when I saw the ending one, I was like, man, I didn't even get a full point. Are you kidding me?
Like, come on.
Dude, what the hell? I don't know. Yeah, it's just crap.
So I think the PSR is crap. I think is what it is they probably want you to come back on the show. So they're like, oh, we gotta slight Cheeny a little bit so we can see she's hungry to come get her PSR up.
Do more than a PSR to.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna dangle a bigger carrot in front of me than that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, they did have to do that, right? Because that was the next series was the LOS, the
last one standing.
Last one standing, and that was monetary, right? So someone at the end of that won $100,000. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yep. Could have been you.
It could have been.
Cool. I love that. Okay, so now let's talk. Can you tell me about that experience a little bit though? Like, what can you?
Last one standing. Yeah. So it comes out May 7th. And they wanted to take 12 contestants. Ideally they wanted 6 and 6 males, so 6 females, but they couldn't.
I'm going to interrupt you here first, because I just want to finish the the solo series first.
Oh, sure.
Just that you, so because we talked about it, and like maybe we don't want to spoil it for the people why, you know, the last episode, we don't want to spoil that.
Yeah.
But that was really cool how they did that. And like Cheeny, man, she's a person who, like, while she was in all this shit and doing all this stuff and having to survive and do all this stuff, she was still a person who was saying like, oh, I'm going to go hike, and I'm going to go hike up to that little mountain to take in the landscape. Obviously this is functional as well. I'm seeing where water is and I'm seeing this, but I'm also going to see this, and saw you up there and you take in this beautiful thing, and the way you had constructed your hides, you know, throughout the challenge was just incredible. You know, you had the beautiful overshirt, and then you made the moccasins. Like, that was unreal doing the moccasins.
The moccasins, I had never made them before. I'd just seen patterns on the internet. So once I'm out there, I'm like, I wish that I'd actually made one of these before. So I'm just like trying to go off of memory. And it took me a while to make them.
Yeah.
I was like, I need these shoes because I wish they showed it in the series. There was this plant out there. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was like a foot tall. And it looked like a green pipe cleaner. It's probably, you know, 1.5 inches in diameter, like with all the bristles. It was a tall, skinny plant, but it had these thorns that were like needles. They were thin, sharp. What was it called? I can't remember the name of the plant, but it was everywhere. And like, you look at the crew, it's a grassland, but these little spiky pipe cleaners are hidden in the grass. And I just getting to that area where the waterfall, I had stepped on it enough that I was like, I have an animal skin. I need to make shoes. And so I was just like, well, here's how I kind of think I know how to make them. And like, they're the ugliest shoes, but I still have them. They're in my living room.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I do wear them from time to time, but my feet, you know, I got salt again. You know, I'm not like shriveled up, so they don't quite fit.
Right.
I have skinny little feet. But I still have the shoes. And
that's so cool.
yeah.
I wish that like, that's the one thing that my feet, like, I would just have to figure that out. Yeah, I'd have to figure that out. Or I, like, just beforehand, I would just, did you do that? Did you harden them at all? Like, were you walking around barefoot like crazy for, you know?
I did the best I could. I bought this stuff called Tough Foot.
Yep.
You can spray it on, like, normally you put it on, like, your hunting dog's feet.
Okay.
It's like balsam fir oil and, like, some other plant oils and stuff. But it's designed to, like, thicken the skin on your feet or make it more leathery.
Yeah.
So I did that. I'd spray it on my feet like 3 times a day. I'd walk out. I'd find like freshly paved areas of that black hut top.
Yeah.
I'll just burn the shit out of the bottoms of my feet just to get them hard.
Yeah.
But dude, nothing stops an acacia thorn.
Yeah, right.
Like, Africa's got thorns that you can't even imagine.
It's insane.
It's insane.
I have been to South Africa.
That's right. You have been to South Africa.
Yeah, so
You've seen acacia.
I've seen acacia. I've seen, you know, I walked around. We got experience that. We did like a cool safari and stuff. So not, you know, I was being fed my meals and stuff, but I was still out there and got to experience it a little bit, which is really cool.
Africa's dry too. People don't realize that, like, the desert is rough. It's dry, rough.
Yeah, it's arid. It's rough, and it's just like you get out there and you're like, how is this vegetation growing? Like, where is this? You know, how does this happen? And
I know.
Why?
No wonder everything here has hooves.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Exactly. You know, you need to dig. You need to move, and like I think it's just so cool, like some of the stuff that I learned when I was there, you know, like just like, you know, brushing your teeth with some of the plants and stuff, and the stuff that they do, and all this, you know, different remedies that they have for headaches and for, you know, for nausea and all this. And like, that's, you know, my background in pharmacy. So it's like, that was so cool to learn when I was there.
Yeah. I mean, medicine came from plants.
Yeah.
That's where it all started from.
Exactly. Right. It's like, so a cool thing that I learned was that, like, they, when people would have, you know, like really bad stomach aches, or, you know, they would take elephant dung and they would light it on fire, and then they put a bag around the person's head or something around their head, and then they'd have that person huff the elephant dung.
Whoa.
And yeah, and it's, we did this, you know, they came, they did it, you know, the guide or whatever, and it was like, who wants to do it? And
I'll try it.
I'll try it, baby, giddy up.
Yeah.
So I went over there and I did it, and it's like, it makes you, you know, your eyes get all fucked up and you're coughing, and, you know, but like, I felt so much better afterwards. My stomach felt great. And it's like, you know, the elephants can eat anything, and they have, you know, giraffes can, you know, eat like, you know, not even half the type of, you know, as like abrasive vegetation that elephants will eat a fucking tree.
Yeah.
And they have one stomach. Giraffes have 4 stomachs, and they can't even eat half it. So this enzymes that they believe, the enzymes and stuff in the elephant stomach is so good. So like, giving yourself access to that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You know, it was really cool. So that was just great. You know, you crushed it. You know, she did, you know, we won't ruin it, but Cheeny made it, because of course she made it.
Yeah.
It was a giddy up. So now, so then, the next one was tell me all about the last one standing.
Yeah, last one standing. So it's 12 participants, and it's people that have done the show multiple times. I mean, if you look at the lineup, it's Matt Wright, who is like Mr. Naked and Afraid, and then you've got like Waz and Dan, who did the Peru XL, and like Steven, who's done multiple shows. Like Steven's got like 200 something days, and then you've got Jeff, who he's done quite a few as well. A lot of repeats, like Amber was on a XL, Stacy's done an XL. They've been on the show multiple times. I mean, these people have like a lot of days under their belt.
Yeah.
And then I roll in, and it's
42.
like 42 days, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, oh, I did a show last year, and I just did a solo. Never done a group one. Never really done a long one. And I was like, they all know each other. Like, they've been on multiple episodes together.
Wow.
Yeah. So like,
disadvantage right off the bat.
yeah, and they're all buddies, but like they were all really nice. They were cool. There was never any maliciousness.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, everybody was super cool.
You all 12 of you guys were together.
No, so they split it up throughout the show. There's times where we are together, and there's times where we're not together, and we're in two, or we're by ourselves. So throughout the whole thing, like, it's just a mixed bag of different things, different survival challenges. And then, because you have to have the challenge, because the whole point of the show is the last one standing. Who's the best survivalist?
Yeah.
So if we do a challenge, and like, oh, this person was last, you're out.
Right.
And so they just did that throughout the series, and the challenges were at different times. It wasn't like every so many days would be a challenge. It was completely random.
So it's completely random. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, so it's going to be, there's not a lot of detail I can give. We started with 12, we ended with 1. We were right back in South Africa in the Oribi Gorge, and there was a fat cash prize.
Yeah, what was the climate there? What was the climate like?
So the gorge, it was weird. It was a mix between tropical and dry. It was really strange, because like there was a lot of vegetation there, trees and stuff like that, and vines, and it was quite damp. But then there were areas where it was arid. And they'd be like right next to each other. You could walk a mile and go back and forth between tropical and arid several times.
That's really cool.
But it was beautiful, but it was unforgiving.
Yeah.
Africa is harsh. Like, you think Maine winters are tough. Spend a day in Africa.
Right.
It's tough country. Africans are tough people.
Mm-hmm.
Tough people. And you've experienced it firsthand, especially your rangers when you did your safari. They don't make men like that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. They definitely don't. That's like where I spent like a ton of my time, was just like, conversating with these people and like learning about them. And it was just like fucking incredible. Mm. Like, just across the board, just awesome.
And I love South Africa. Like, that place is always going to be a part of me.
Yeah.
Like, you read a lot of these stories from a lot of these African authors, and they talk about that a lot, and like how you leave a part of yourself in Africa every time, and you long to be back there, and there's a beauty there that you could really only experience in South Africa. Like, just thinking about it now is like kind of choking me up. Like, Africa is always going to be my second home. Always. And I can't wait to go back. And I'm planning on going back next year, on my own terms. Oh,
that's going to be so cool.
Yep. So I'm just trying to figure out like right time of year and plane tickets and all that stuff. But
when you go, I got a guy.
Okay.
I have this guy who I met down there. He's family, and he's incredible. I spent 2 weeks with him. I talk to him once a week, now, and his name's Noel, and he just, we met. He was my Uber driver from the airport, and then he just drove me around all week. He said like, hey, do you want me to help you out this week? And I thought he was just like some guy trying to make a buck, and I was like, yeah, sure, man. If you're here tomorrow at 8 a.m. and you want to be the Uber driver for me, like, and take us around, then like, cool, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, he was there at 8 a.m. Where he dropped us off, and like, we just grew this incredible relationship, over the 10 days that we were in Cape Town, and he's just amazing. So when you go to Cape Town, he's there, and Cape
Town is gorgeous. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
I've been to Johannesburg.
Okay, well, that's what I'm assuming. When you go back, for personal thing, you got to get to Cape Town for sure.
Cape Town's gonna happen.
Yeah, because it's just an amazing place, and he'll hook it up for you. He'll get you in all the local spots and bring you to like the the local beaches and places that like as a tourist you might not get access to.
That would be great.
Yeah, hell yeah. I miss you, Noel. love you, man.
Hope you're listening.
Yeah, I hope you're listening. Yeah, giddy up. So I can't wait to that's next Sunday, May 7th is when that's being released.
I know it's a roller coaster. Like, I just spent the last 8 weeks every Sunday, like, being on people's televisions, and now I'm rolling into another.
Yeah, and is this another eight part series?
I don't know the number of episodes. I've heard 8. I've heard 10. I don't know, but it's gonna be at a minimum. They have to do 8 because you got to think, like, the past XLs that they've done. They're 8 episodes, maybe 10. I've actually never watched any of the XLs, so I don't know how many episodes are in those series. But like, I begrudgingly own a TV.
Right.
I never had one until a couple months ago, and somebody just gave me their old one.
Yeah. If it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't, and I do watch some TV programs, there's some shows I watch and stuff, and it's nice to like sometimes do it with my partner and stuff, but like I fucking hate the TV. It's
a black hole, man. Like, technology is a black hole. I'll find myself just like scrolling on my phone, and I'm like, what have I been doing for the last 20 minutes? Like,
right. Mindlessly. I
mean, I follow a lot of cool stuff on Instagram, so I do learn a lot, but I'm also just like, I'm just doom scrolling. I'm like, get this thing out of here.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm always trying to like learn, so it's like, that's the thing. But sometimes I get caught up in it too, and I'm like, fuck, so it's like the best of times and the worst of times all at the same time, and we just got to come together as a community and as a society and shepherd it in the right way. I think that's the answer.
I think so too. Yeah.
I love it. So what was out of the three of them, what was your favorite experience? What was your favorite one? Are you allowed to say?
My favorite, it's hard to say. Like, at the time, I did not enjoy my solo, but now looking back and just that whole experience and actually seeing it from the outside, that one was incredible.
Seeing how fucking cool you looked with your war paint and your unbelievable like outfit.
Yeah, I know.
So fucking cool.
I was trying to have fun with it too, because like people get all serious with their war paint. So I was like, I'm just gonna look like a Frenchman.
Yeah,
for
so
this
funny.
One. I was like,
so good.
Have fun with it,
Yeah, and it ended up being so perfect.
Oh yeah, it was so great at the end. I was like, yeah, that's fucking gold. But I don't know, like, it's hard to beat the camaraderie, the what I built with Jared and Rusty, and then the friendships I made on the big group one.
Yep.
Like, and now I have 12 new, well, I was one of them, so I have 11 new friends.
Yeah.
And like, when you go through an experience like that, it's like being in the military. Like, there's a bond there that you can't build anywhere else.
Yeah, you can't. It's the only way is through. The
Yeah.
only way is to do it together and to have that shared experience.
Yep.
And sounds stupid, but because it's not even close to comparable, but I pledged a pharmacy fraternity when I was at school, and like that's what all fraternities do. They look at the military and they say, "Oh, let's take a little bit of this, a little bit of this. How can we fuck with these kids? How can we make this process a little bit hard for them?"
Yeah.
But the whole essence of it, like, I actually got pretty wrapped up into it because of the person building that it actually is. We would do this thing for a month, our pledge process, and we would bring these kids through this process, and like I literally looked at it as person building, and it was like teaching these kids that they have to rely on each other, unity. And, just if you do the next right thing, things will work out for you. And like, I was all about that, and it was just that obviously not not spending any time in the military, 8 years in the military, or spending 60 plus days or whatever in the, in the South African bush. But just something that experience, it's definitely going through things together. It's like, I'm still best friends with all these kids,
It's got its similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, getting fucked with and having a schedule and having to be, make that schedule and physical fitness and, you said it earlier, task, scheduling.
Yeah, task saturation.
Task saturation. Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, there's similarities to it. And like, if you do it right, and I think that like, there's a lot of fraternities that don't do it right, and they get their kids all like fucked up and like they make them drink. And like, that's the worst. That's the worst possible thing you could ever do to an 18-year-old person, making them do, like, that is just gross and disgusting. And whoever did, like, our process was a dry month. You couldn't drink alcohol.
And that's even harder.
It's way harder for these kids who are partying their freshman or second years in school, and they're way excited. It's like, no, bro, you want to be a part of us. This, this thing that we're trying to do, you have to show some discipline, because we all did it. We all were disciplined for this time period, and then that's how people who have never, even people who never played sports or all this stuff I saw. That's why when I went through it myself, I was a sports person. So it was just like very natural for me to be a leader and for me to, to do this for people and to get, rally people around me and, help people out and know that, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so like, it was just natural for me. But the people who I like went through the process with, like, to see, who weren't necessarily exposed to, athletics, but to see them grow as a human being, like, it was cool. And it makes me think like, I probably would have really loved to have gone to the military. You know, I think, like I said, it would have been a hard, brutal experience, you know, depending on what I did. But I think that I would have, you know, I would have enjoyed doing that, you know, as a career path.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. Military, I tell everybody, I'm like, if you don't know what to do after high school, go into the military.
Yeah, for real.
God, it's not as bad as people make it sound. There's a ton of different jobs. There's so many places you can go get stationed. Get out of your hometown, go get a free education, go get taken care of.
Yep.
Like, I don't have any student debt. I have zero debt. I have a mortgage.
Yep.
But like, whatever, everybody has a mortgage. I have no debt.
It's amazing.
I have health care for the rest of my life.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know?
33 years old.
Yeah, and it's like, because I dedicated part of my life, you know, I gave back, like, I don't want to get all corny and cheesy here, but it's like, I gave back to America. And like, this country's pretty awesome. We're going through some hard times right now. Like, everybody, like, you know.
There's division everywhere right
it's
now.
It's a weird time. But I've been all over the world, and I'll tell you, we got it good here.
Still the best place.
Yeah.
Probably still the best place on the earth to live.
Yeah, you can turn on your faucet and you can drink the water.
Yep.
People don't realize that.
That's a giddy up.
You can't do that most other places in the world.
Right.
You can't do that. And like, even like going to the grocery store, I don't think I went to Vietnam a couple months ago. They don't have a grocery store. They have this market. Then they have their open market, so you get all your fresh stuff. But their grocery stores are full of just crap. I couldn't find yogurt there to save my life.
Right.
And I'm like, we have so much variety here. We're spoiled brats in America. And it's like, it's great, sure, but we have to protect this. Somebody's got to give back. And it's like, it's 4 years. It goes by. And you have no debt. And now, guess what? You have your GI Bill. Now you can go to school. And now you actually know what you want to do.
Yeah.
18-year-olds shouldn't make decisions.
No, I mean, I'm so grateful for my decision because I'm here.
Sometimes they make the right ones. Yeah.
I don't think I made the right one, but it led me to this path. So I try not to have regrets or anything like that. But like, pharmacy school was not what, you know, I should have been doing. I should have been getting out there and experiencing life and doing that by, you know, because you know, the military is a great, you know, get out of your hometown, jump out of a fucking plane,
Go
you know, meet people
around the world.
Yeah. You know, travel, do this thing. Like that's a great experience. And like anybody who, you know, like look into it, make sure you're doing your due diligence. You know, the combat controller said that always make sure you have a contract going in, you know, don't let them, you know, you decide the job.
Yes.
You know, don't let them decide for
Don't let them decide for you because they're going to put you where there's a hole.
Yeah.
And
Right.
They need to fill it.
Yep.
So yeah, like
know what you're doing, be intentional with it.
yeah, and like they've got trades. Like you can be a machinist in the military. You can do sheet metal. You can be a mechanic. You can be, you know, like they need people to take care of stuff on the base.
They need pharmacists.
They need pharmacists.
Yeah.
I actually, one of the guys that I went through SERE training with, he cross-trained from pharmacy to be a SERE specialist.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who's you know, Captain Dr. Wilson. So you know, he was a you know, to get a doctorate in pharmacy, and he was like, you got a captain in the Air Force. So
Yeah.
he's just does pharmacy. You know, I think he's just on a base and just does his thing, and
Yeah.
you know, he's a good dude. I haven't talked to him in 10 years, but like
I'm sure he's doing fine though.
yeah,
Like,
I'm
the
sure he's doing
military-
great.
Yeah, they take care of you. Like
Yeah.
you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. They make sure that you have food and clothing, and when you're fucking up, they'll fix you.
You know, so that just to answer the question, what was they're all different, but
They're all different. If I had to pick a favorite,
you don't have to if you don't want to, because they're all different. You love them all.
yeah, I would say experience-wise, it's got to be the solo.
Yeah.
I mean, God, the fish I caught and the extraction ride out,
Yeah, and
And
both
just
two fish, you know, both
two fish,
Yeah.
and just the beauty of it, like
Yeah,
sunrise and sunset every day. I was like, God, and then the Milky Way.
yeah,
Get up at night to go pee, which was miserable. But there's no light pollution because there isn't a town or a city. There's no lights for hours and hours of driving. And I saw the Milky Way like I've never seen it before. I'll never forget it. It was purple and it had all these like clouds in it. And like, it was wild. And the stars were so intense. I thought I was going to get abducted by aliens. I'm like, I'm like freaking out looking at the stars. 'Cause I
Wow.
feel like the sky was looking back at me,
I love it. So
looking like through me. I'm like, I am so small. And I was like, now I know why they built the pyramids and they did all this stuff. And they knew how important the stars were.
yeah, it's all about the stars for sure. So now, okay, so two things on the to-do list. Get to the desert, get to the Crew Desert with Cheeny and make sure that we bring some mushrooms. And then in Burning Man, and potentially probably maybe bring some mushrooms too, but we can also do that as sober, which is great and clean if you people want, you know, which I that's how, you know, I live most of my life like that. You know, that's how I don't drink alcohol. I do smoke cannabis, to sometimes at night to help me sleep and to help with anxiety sometimes. And I do, I do some psychedelics too, to help me process trauma in my life. But it's not very often, so.
And that's the thing. You shouldn't do X, Y, and Z often.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, I know people that smoke weed every day, all day. That's not the way to go. I know people that drink all the time. Not the way to go. And we all know, like Timothy Leary, he's a perfect example of why you shouldn't do psychedelics all the time.
Right.
You're not supposed to do that stuff all the time.
Right. Exactly. Definitely not. You're supposed to do it and then integrate what you learned to open up your brain to create the new neural pathways that you created during that. I think it would just be cool to see the Milky Way galaxy with how purple and all the stars.
I wish I had a picture of it.
You don't even need the mushrooms though. That's what's so great about it.
It was.
It's like you're tripping, but
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, if you want to have an intense mental experience, go out somewhere and fast for multiple days. Like you'll tap into parts of your brain you didn't know you had.
So where can the people find you?
So I will say this: I do have social media, but I keep it strictly for my friends and family.
Okay.
But I do have an Instagram that I just created the other day for Naked and Afraid, and I'll probably do it by the time this comes out. I'll have one for Facebook as well.
Okay.
So just search Cheeny on Instagram. Search Cheeny_no pants, one word.
Cheeny no pants.
Cheeny no pants, and it'll be the same name for Facebook because last name is Plant. One of my good friends, Sharni, she calls me Cheeny Pants. And then when the show came out, she was like, no pants, Cheeny no pants. So I'm going with that for it. So people can find me there and, reach out. If you have questions, I can answer most things. And then, a lot of people have been hitting me up for like autograph photos. Pretty cool. But yeah, that's the way. Look for Cheeny no pants.
Cheeny no pants and Dr. BeeWell.
Yep.
Doing it right together.
Yep.
I love it. Well, you are, it has been, absolutely a pleasure to have you on today. I learned so much. You are an absolute inspiration to me and to, so many people out there. And I can't wait till they get to hear this episode and they get to, take the time to watch your series. Are you going to do it again?
We always say that we'll never go back and, never say never. I won't be going back this year. I have just too many commitments and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see what 2024, 2025, see what has to offer. If they ask me to go back to Africa, that's going to be a hard one to say no.
Yeah, hard to say no to,
hard
for
to
sure.
say no to Africa.
Awesome. Well, everybody, definitely check out Cheeny Plante's Naked and Afraid series. Those will all be available on Discovery Plus. If you want to get her, get in touch with her, Cheeny No Pants. That's gonna be the giddy up. You want us, Dr. BeeWell. That's what we're here for. Help communities. The individual communities and society as a whole do just that. Be well. So we thank you guys so much for listening to us, and we'll see you next week. Giddy up.